I knew I became the caretaker for hopefully the fullness of this character. So you're never just getting one note or even just 5 notes. I wanted to give like a million notes.
Colman, your performance in this was phenomenal. Get ready for your Oscar now, sir.
All right, from your lips to God's ears.
Right? Well, I got to ask, because I was unaware of who Bayard Rustin really was until really watching this film, and then I dove into his career a little bit, and my goodness, what a dude. Like, what an amazing beacon of, like, power, right?
Absolutely.
Why is now the right time for a Bayard Rustin film and to really dive into who he was as an activist and everything else?
What an extraordinary time that we're in right now. And this film, I think, can be a great example and examination of someone who was marginalized in history and someone who actually did so much for all the civil liberties that we have, which is great. He organized the March on Washington. He was an incredible organizer. He did many other things that I can just rattle off, but I won't bore you with that. But what an incredible human being who has been sidelined in history. And what's beautiful is that, like, we're showing that, like, history is a much bigger place, actually, and there's more room for other stories as well. And to know that, because I think if you have a story like Bayard Rustin's out in the world now, what an inspiration it is to young LGBTQIA kids growing up as well, believing that they can make a difference. They have a North Star, like someone like Bayard Rustin, who has done so much and who was absolutely who he was in his existence in the 1950s, which was, a very different time. You know what I mean? So I think you have someone you can really look to as well. And admire like I do. A
part of your research that kind of surprised me a little bit is you spoke with a lot of people that knew him. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, I spoke with Walter Nagel, who was Bayard's partner up until Bayard's passing. And also I spoke with Rochelle Horowitz, who was one of his comrades who actually ran transportation for the March on Washington. Yeah, exactly. She was like 19 years old when that happened, which is cool. But I spoke to them because I wanted to know all the human qualities, not the things that I can go and research and find out, whether it's, his debates with Malcolm X, you name it. But I wanted to find out, I would ask questions like, hey, was he a touchy-feely kind of guy? Or what did he like to eat? Or when he traveled, what was the first thing he liked to pick up? All those little things that may not, I don't know if anybody would really recognize it if they watch the film, but I know it. And I can infuse, and I can know more about the character. And so the character can move in a different way. The character can exist in a different way or wear clothing in a different way because I understand the history of it and why he did what he did.
Speaking of that, what did you want to bring to the role that wasn't necessarily on the page?
What was on the page, there was a lot mapped out, which was great. But I wanted to fill in his full humanity, truly. And I think, the idea that I didn't want to play someone who was overtly heroic. Right. I think he's messy. I think he is fragile. I think he's really whip smart. I think he's funny. And I think it all at once. I think whatever I can do to make sure that he's so nuanced is the goal. I want to make sure that, like, any of his scenes, when it comes to lovemaking scenes, that they were very honest and real as well. I wanted to make sure that when he was in a room full of the NAACP and other organizers and all, that how he used his wit. Sure. So I knew I became the caretaker for hopefully the fullness of this character. So you're never just getting one note or even just 5 notes. I wanted to give like a million notes.
This is not your first collaboration with George C. Wolfe. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you've auditioned for him before and you thought he didn't like you. Here you are with this role, I think is an Oscar caliber performance.
And George will argue this. He would say that I did not audition for him this many times. I auditioned for him 5 times. I remember, because George is a legendary director of stage and film. And I auditioned for him 5 times, and 5 times in New York, he did not cast me. So I figured, he doesn't like my work. I moved to LA, do other things, whatever, and then I get an offer, a straight offer from Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, directed by George C. Wolfe. And I'm like, that can't be possible. Does he know it's me? He wouldn't give me an offer. He doesn't like my work. But apparently he did. George is that consummate artist, and even if he has a million projects, he wants to make sure you're absolutely right for his vision. And I'm glad that I fit his vision, not only in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, but as Bayard Rustin.
Well, you were perfect in the role. And like I said, I think you're going to get an Oscar for this. It's a tremendous performance.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brother.
Pleasure to meet you, sir.
You too, man.
Thank you very much.